Hi everyone. In this lesson, we're going to talk about buying a house with a mortgage, which should be very practical for many of you. At some point, you may need to actually apply for a mortgage. So there's several advantages to owning homes, and one of those is that you don't have to pay rent. And basically, you're rewarded with the financial benefits. Eventually, homes usually will gain value, and when you go to sell your home down the line, you can profit off of it. There are many financial obligations, though, that have to be met in order to qualify for a home loan. You may want to pause the video and read through the vocabulary here, such as what is a mortgage, a down payment, what do they mean by closing, and then also the difference between an adjustable rate loan and a variable rate loan, and points. And then when you're ready, you can unpause the video. One of the major words that you read about was what is a mortgage, since that's what this section covers. And a homeowner's mortgage is a long-term loan in which the property is pledged as security for payment of the difference between the sale price and the down payment. And here is an example. The Monazes wish to purchase a house selling for $249,000. They plan to obtain a loan from their bank. The bank requires a 15% down payment payable to the seller and a payment of 2 points payable to the bank at the time of closing. We want to determine the Monazes' down payment. So in this problem, it tells us that the bank requires a 15% down payment. So it's 15% of $249,000. And if you'll remember, when we were dealing with percent problems in 10.1, you would just multiply 0.15, which is 15% as a decimal, times 249,000. And when you do that, you get $37,350. So that is the down payment that the Monazes will need to come up with. And they will be paying that to the seller. So the seller will get that $37,350. Okay, so how much will the mortgage be? Well, we know that the selling price of the home is $249,000. So to find the mortgage, I'm just going to take my selling price and subtract the down payment. And the mortgage amount will be the difference of the two. So the selling price of the home is $249,000, and the Monazes are putting $37,350 down. So their mortgage amount, if you subtract those, will be $211,650. If the Monazes pay 2 points, right? Points, as you read about, are interest prepaid by the buyer and may be used to reduce the stated interest rate the lender charges. 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan. So what this does is it reduces the interest rate, and it allows the lender, the bank or whatever, to reduce the size of the monthly mortgage payment. So that enables more people to be able to purchase homes. So we know that if 1 point is 1%, 2 points equals 2%. Okay, and that's going to be of the mortgage amount. So we needed to find the mortgage amount first, which was $211,650. So again, we're just doing 2%, which as a decimal is 0.02, times the mortgage amount, $211,650. And when you do that, you get $4,233. So what this means is at the closing, the Monazes will pay $37,350 to the seller, and then they will pay $4,233 $33 to the bank. Okay, so this amount goes to the seller, whereas this amount goes to the bank at closing. Okay, again, you may want to pause the video to read about gross monthly income and adjusted monthly income, and then also read the example and unpause when you're ready. We're going to consider the previous example. We want to suppose that the Mona's gross monthly income is $7,250. So as you read, the gross monthly income is the monthly income before any deductions are taken out. Like, so for Social Security, for any medical coverage and things like that. Okay, union dues. And they have 23 remaining monthly payments of $225 on their car loan, 17 remaining monthly payments of $175 on their daughter's orthodontic braces, and 11 remaining monthly payments of $45 on a loan used to purchase new furniture. The property taxes and homeowners insurance on the house they wish to buy are $165 and $115 per month, respectively. Their bank will approve a loan that has a total monthly mortgage payment of principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance that is less than or equal to 28% of their adjusted monthly income. Okay, and as you read earlier, if you're wondering, where the 28% came from, so typically a mortgage loan officer will multiply the adjusted monthly income by 28%. And then that product, the answer you get, that's the maximum monthly house payment that the lending institution believes that the purchaser can afford to buy. Okay. And we're also going to be referring to this monthly principal and interest payment per $1,000 mortgage table, which is on the next page of your notes. So the first thing we want to do is determine 28% of the Mona's adjusted monthly income. So in order to do that, we're going to take their gross monthly income, which would be $7,250. So again, that's before any deductions come out of there. And we need to take away any of their expenses. So we know that they have $225 a month to pay for their car. And then they have $175 a month to pay for their daughter's braces. And then they pay $45 a month to purchase new furniture. Okay, so when we subtract that, the $7,250 minus the sum here that you would get when you add, you're going to come out with $6,805. So that's their adjusted monthly income. Now we want to find 28% of that, and that's going to give us the maximum amount that the institution believes the purchaser can afford to pay. So 28% of 6,805. We know that that would just be 0.28 times 6,805, and we get 1905.40. So $1,905.40. That's the maximum monthly house payment that the lender thinks that the borrower can afford. Okay, the Mona's won a 30-year, $211,650 mortgage. If the interest is 4%, determine the total monthly house payment, which includes the principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance for this mortgage. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to take the mortgage amount, which is $211,650, and I need to divide that by 1,000. It's the number of thousands of dollars of the mortgage. Okay, and when you divide that, that just gives you, whoops, 211.65. So that 211.65 is the number of thousands of dollars of the mortgage. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm gonna have to go to my table, and we want to apply the 4%. So we know that they're taking out a 30-year mortgage. So if I look at my table and find 30 years, that's the last column here, and my interest rate here was 4%. So if I go straight across, the interest rate we're going to use is, the factor we're going to use is 4.77415. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that by the 211.65. So I'm taking the number of thousands of dollars of the mortgage, and I'm multiplying it by that number there, 4.77415. And that gives me 1010.45. Okay, and that's your monthly principal and interest. Okay, so now I need to take that, and don't forget, we need to add on the $165 for property taxes and the $115 per month for homeowners insurance. And that gives us $1,290.45. Okay, so that's the actual monthly house payment. So in addition to, paying for the actual loan for the price of the house, you also have to include the homeowner's insurance, which is required, and property taxes, which also are always required. Okay, so after going through all of that, did they qualify for the mortgage? So if you'll remember, typically a mortgage loan officer will multiply the adjusted monthly income by 28%. And that gives them the maximum monthly house payment that the lending institution believes the purchaser can afford to buy. So if you'll remember, we already figured that out. That was 1905.40. Okay. And we just got, for our monthly house payment, 1290.45. So the maximum is $1,905.40, and their estimated house payment will be $1,290.45. So yes, they will qualify, and it's because the $1,290.45 is less than or equal to the $1,905.40. And remember, they're just comparing the total monthly house payment to the 28% of their adjusted monthly income. Okay, so they would qualify. There's another method that we can use to calculate monthly principal and interest payment. Okay, so in other words, there's another way to come up with $1,010.45 that we came up with earlier. And it's using this formula. It's kind of a very messy formula. Here, M is the principal and P is the interest payment. Okay. M is the principal and the interest payment. P is the amount of the mortgage. And then R is the interest rate as a decimal. N is the number of mortgage payments per year. And T is the time in years. Okay, so let's figure out, using that same problem, we're going to use that formula, the principal and interest payment formula, to calculate the Monez's monthly principal and interest payment. So here, this is a problem that you can do on your own, but I will at least set it up for you and help you out. Okay, the rest you can type into your calculator. So you've got M equals, here P would be the 211,650. Okay, P is the amount of the mortgage. And then I'm going to multiply that by R over N. R is the rate as a decimal, so that's just 0.04. And then N in this problem is the number of mortgage payments per year. So they make a mortgage payment every month. There's 12 months in a year, so we're going to divide by 12. Okay, that's all in the numerator. And in the denominator, I'm going to have 1 minus the quantity, 1 plus. You're just going to basically repeat this same fraction down here. It's the rate divided by the number of payments per year. So that's, again, 0.04 over 12. And then to the power of negative n times t. So negative n is 12, so it's just to the negative 12 times t. So t is the time in years. We've got a 30-year mortgage. So when you work all of that out, and I strongly encourage you to, use your calculator and type in the numbers very carefully, you'll get the same answer about, or very close to what we got in letter B, which was the $1,010.45. That was the monthly principal and interest. So that's just another way you can calculate it, rather than take the mortgage and then divide by 1,000 and then multiply by that number in the table. So if you don't have the table available, you could use this formula to get the same answer. And number 2 is also another problem for you all to try, so you can work that out. I will give you the answers for each of them so you can check. So letter A, you should get $405,345. Letter B is going to be $156,345. Letter C comes out to be $304.95. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the 10.5 part 2 of mortgages problem. So you were asked to complete number 2 on your own. I gave you the answers. Here's how you would work this out. And then please stay tuned. So the Monez's purchased a house selling for $249,000. They made a 15% down payment of $37,350 and obtained a 30-year conventional mortgage for $211,650 at 4%. Okay, and we found all of this in previous problems. We also know they paid 2 points at closing, and we also calculated in 2 different ways that their monthly principal and interest payment on their mortgage is $1,010.45. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is determine the total amount, including principal, interest, down payment, and points, the Monez's will pay for their house over 30 years. So what we need to do is we need to take the monthly principal and interest payment, which is the $1,010.45, and we're going to multiply that by 360 because in 30 years, there's 12 months each year. 30 times 12 is 360. So they're going to be making 360 payments of that amount, which comes out to $363,762. Okay, so that's the total interest and principal paid. Now to figure out the total amount, we're going to take the $363,762. And remember, they paid also a down payment of $37,350. And they're paying to the bank $4,000 $233. That was calculated from the 2 points. And that comes out to $405,345. So remember that the house sold for $249,000 and the mortgage was for $211,650. In the end, they're going to be paying $405,345, right? So we know that if you compare, they are very far apart. And the reason is a lot of what's included there is interest. So how much interest are they actually paying? So to calculate that, we're just going to take the total cost of the house and we're going to subtract the purchase price of the house, which was the $249,000. So if we take the total cost of the house and subtract the purchase price of the house, that would be $405,345 minus $249,000, and that gives us a grand total of a whopping $156,345. So that is how much in interest they are that you would be paying if that was your loan, which is quite a large sum. Okay, so how much would their first mortgage payment that's applied to the principal be? So I need to figure out the interest on one payment. So I'm just going to use my simple interest formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Here my principal is just $211,650, right? Which just represents the 30-year conventional mortgage. And then we're going to multiply that by the rate. And the rate was 4%. So as a decimal, 0.04. And it's just 1 month out of 12. Because we're just looking for how much of the first mortgage payment will we apply to the principal. And when you multiply all this out, you get $705.50. Okay, so that's the interest. So what I need to do now is take the monthly principal, can't spell, and interest, and we're going to subtract the amount of interest on the first payment. And we get $304.95. So that's how much of the first mortgage is applied to the principal. And that is why it takes a long time and you end up paying a lot more than the purchase price of the home in the end, after the 30 years is up. A lot of times you'll be provided what's called an amortization schedule. So this will tell you like payment number 1, right? We found the interest and then the principal and the balance of the loan, right? So remember the $304 is the how much of the first mortgage payment is applied to the principal. Okay, so if we were to take the mortgage payment, which is right here, $211,650, and we subtract $304.95, it leaves us with the balance of the loan. Okay, and then they show us payment 360, which would be after 30 years, like the last month. You're down to 0, so you paid off the loan. Okay, so it's good to have this table. A lot of times when you purchase a home, you can calculate all of that. You can also use, you can find these calculators online. So here's an example of one that you can go to that will actually give you an amortization schedule if you know all of the variables involved. And it's just called the monthly mortgage payment calculator. So it's very informative. Okay, let's look at adjustable rate mortgages. Talk a little bit about that. So you might want to pause the video and then read about adjustable rate mortgages, and then we'll pick up with our problem. The Sanfors purchased a condominium for $275,000 with a down payment of $115,000. They obtained a 15-year adjustable rate mortgage with the following terms. Okay, so as you read, an adjustable rate mortgage is fixed for an initial period of time. That's called the initial rate period. And after that, the rate may go up or down. It's based on movements in the interest rate market. Most adjustable rate mortgages have an initial rate period of 5 or 7 years. Okay. The interest rate is based on the 1-year Treasury bill rate, which currently is 0.5%, and the add-on rate, which is 3%. Okay, so in the United States, the interest rates of adjustable rate mortgages are often tied to 1-year U.S. Treasury bills. Okay, and that is called the base rate of the adjustable rate mortgage. And then a lender adds on a certain percentage, it's called the add-on rate. Okay, so that's what's happening here. The initial rate period is 5 years, and thereafter the interest rate is adjusted once a year and a new monthly mortgage payment is calculated. So we need to first determine the Sanfors initial adjustable rate mortgage rate. So if you'll recall what you just read, to calculate that, all we're going to do is just take the 1-year Treasury bill rate, and we're going to add on that add-on rate. So the 1-year Treasury bill rate was 0.5%, and then the add-on rate, if you'll remember, is 3%. So if you add that together, you get the adjustable rate is 3.5%. Okay, so we want to determine the Sanfors initial monthly payment for principal and interest. So if you'll remember, we did this before. We're going to take the $275,000, which is the purchase price. We're going to subtract their down payment, which was $115,000, and that leaves us with $160,000. So then we're going to take the $160,000 and divide that by 1,000, and we get $160. Okay, and we're going to use that table now. We're looking this time for a 15-year adjustable rate mortgage, and we know that the rate is 3.5%. So going to my table now, I've got 15 years, so this column, and 3.5. So I'm going to multiply the number I just came up with, the 160, by 7.14883. So step 3, I'm going to take 160 and multiply it by that number. And that's going to give me $1,143.81. So that's the initial monthly payment for principal and interest. If after the 5-year initial rate period, the rate of the 1-year Treasury bill rises to 1.5%, determine the Sanfors new adjustable rate mortgage rate. So again, we're going to use the same formula, the 1-year Treasury bill rate, which in this case it says it's 1.5%, plus we've got our add-on rate, which was 3%. So that comes out to be 4.5%. Okay, so their interest rate increased, which means they're going to be paying more in the long run. So, to prevent these rapid increases in interest rates, some banks have what's called a rate cap, which limits the maximum amount the interest rate may change. Because if you think about it, if you are expecting a certain interest rate and then it increases drastically, some people may not be able to afford that, and then you would end up losing your home to the bank, right? Because the bank really owned your home. It's when you pay off your mortgage that you then own your home. Conventional mortgages and adjustable rate mortgages are not the only methods of financing the purchase of a home. So you can read about all those other methods, and I provided a website that you can go to. It's www.makinghomeaffordable.gov, which gives other options to own a home as well.